We have two speakers today, Mrs. T.S. Rajalakshmi ma'am from Vishwas, who would be giving a talk on Bharatiyaran Anmegai Sindanegal, and Mrs. Bhuma Veeravalli ma'am, who would be giving a talk on Bharatiyar and spirituality. First, I would like to request Bhuma Veeravalli ma'am. She's been contributing immensely to popularize the work of Bharati by applying her mastery over Tamil and English literature to translate Bharati's work to English, thus breaking the language barriers and helping to spread the message of Bharati across the globe. Welcome, ma'am.
நமஸ்தே. எத்தனை கோடி இன்பம் வைத்தாய் எங்கள் இறைவா, இறைவா, இறைவா. What a million little joys you've presented for us to enjoy, O Lord, our Lord, O Lord. Merging the sentient and the insentient, combining the elements five, you rendered this world a colorful pageant, imbuing beauty in a myriad ways. One of the most beautiful and joyous experience in life is to be with people who are like-minded, who come together, the great minds, and bring thoughts which are positivity and combine together to a cause which is bigger than ourselves. Today, I'm very happy to be in such a meeting with such great minds, and I'm deeply grateful to be part of this function. So I first would like to express my thanks to the great minds like Sri Murli, Ms. Punima, Mr. Krishnamurti, and all the team of Bharadamengum Bharati and Parengum Bharati. Thank you very much. Today we are going to discuss the topic Bharati and Bhakti. Yes, Bharati and Bhakti. On the surface of it, it looks a little unusual topic. After all, Bharati is known for his rousing nationalistic poems, right? So, where does Bhakti come into this? And we all must also remember that Bharati himself said that his calling is poetry and serving the nation, not even taking a second's rest in this. எமக்கு தொழில் கவிதை நாட்டு குழைத்தல் இமை பொழுதும் சோராதிருத்தல். So he himself declared that poetry and nationalism is his calling. So where does Bhakti come into it? Nice question, right? At this juncture, I want to say, if any one of you has a question, please put it in the chat box. I'm here, we can discuss this. I'd like to begin saying this is not a lecture, this is a discussion. So feel free to stop me anytime and let's discuss your questions. So if we are going to talk like this, then where does it? So let's just keep that aside for a moment. Tell me, when you talk about Bharati's love for his nation, can you tell me what are the feelings he has come up with? Can anyone tell me, please? What feeling do you think Bharati has had when he's talking about the nation? என்ன தோன்றது? ஒரு affection, ஒரு helplessness, ஒரு passion, deep affection, a bond. After all, when he is talking about ஆங்கவர் உடற்பூ மாய்ந்த பின் உடற்பூந்துகள் மண்ணில் கலந்த நாடு இது, அவர் சொன்னார் ஒவ்வொரு செல், every cell of his body, of the people, எந்தையும் தாயும் மகிழ்ந்து குலாவி இருந்ததும் இந்நாடே, அவர் முந்தையர் 1000 ஆண்டுகள் வளர்ந்து செழிந்ததும் இந்நாடே. So, and அங்கவர் மாய அவருடர் பூந்துகள் கலந்ததும் இந்நாடே. So even after death, the cells are part of this country. So that deep bond, affection, reverence, shall I say reverence? Yes, right? Reverence வந்தே மாதரம் என்று வணங்கி வாயுர வாழ்த்தேனோ. வந்தே மாதரம் என்போம், எங்கள் மாநில தாயை வணங்குதும் என்போம். வந்தே மாதரம் we chant. Our motherland we venerate, we chant. So, what do we see? Affection, a deep bond, and something that this is the best. Parukulle nalla naadu, the best country in the world. And something that there is nothing better than this. A depth of emotion. Take all this. Let's just put them together. An affection, a deep reverence, a deep bond, a trust that this is the best. There is nothing better than this. Put all these together and can you tell me in one word what it means? Affection, bond, trust, sacrifice. I want to give my life for this country. That is bhakti. So we come there. Bharati had deep love. That is why when every other poet's songs are called nationalistic poems, Bharati's are called Desha Bhakti Padalal. It's not just nationalism, it is bhakti towards a nation. So bhakti is, now if I tell you that bhakti is the core of Bharati's life, and one dimension of the bhakti is the Desha Bhakti, I don't think you will have any objection to it, right? He had great affection. And yes, bhakti was the core of his life. We are talking, let's just for a minute take off and understand the concept of bhakti. Where do we go? Obviously, we go to the Jagadacharyan today, not the Krishna Acharya, the Google Acharya, the Wikipedia Acharya. What is the definition of bhakti? Now, Wikipedia gives a definition of bhakti. Let us delve a little deeper now. Attachment, participation, fondness, homage, faith, love, devotion, worship, purity. Put all this together and this is what Wikipedia says is bhakti. This is what we find in Bharati. In every poem, you can't differentiate between a bhakti for the nation and bhakti for the God. In his devotional poems, you will see words about the country, and it is national poems, you will see his prayer to God. So, bhakti and Bharati cannot be separated, and therefore, this is part of our own life. Traditionally, in Bhagavad Gita, which is, of course, the core of bhakti for us, bhakti is, Krishna says that people worship me for 4 different reasons. But before that, I would like to also take up the bhavams in bhakti. After all, let us see whether Bharati really has bhakti in his heart. Okay, there are 5 different bhavams of bhakti. The Shanta Bhavam, where you accept that God is superior and you devote all your energy to God. A classic example of Shanta Bhavam is Bhishma, Vidura. They just trusted God absolutely. So that is Shanta Bhavam. Then you have Dasya Bhavam, a person who wants to serve the God. Who is the one who is the ultimate in Dasya Bhavam? Yeah? Anyone? Hanuman. The name that comes to your mind. Lakshmana, Bharata, but Hanuman, that's Dasya Bhavam. Then we have Sakhya Bhavam. Now, Sakhya Bhavam as a friend, seeing Krishna not as just a god, but as a friend who is with you, right next to you. I remember Rajaji's book called Thoramai Yogam. That is this, Sakhya Bhavam. Arjuna, that's it. The ultimate in Sakhya Bhavam. Then we have Vatsalya Bhavam. Of course, a mother's love for the child. Yashoda. Then we have Periyalvar. All this, all his Divya Prabandham, Periyathirumozhi. Then Surdas. Of course, a mother's love of, and I can even imagine that song. Tumak tumak pad tumak tunjamak chapal charan hari aaye re mere pran lubhavan aaye. He came and stole my heart. And you can, when you see that there is a person who can't see and who can describe Krishna, say, with the footsteps, the chal of the anklets, just can't beat the Vatsalya Bhavam. Then you have Madhurya Bhavam, the Prema Premika Bhavam, the ultimate of all loves to God. You have Radha, Goda, Meera, and of course we have Kulashekara Alvar. We have so many of our Alvars who also sang with the Nayaka Nayika Bhavam. Now these are the 5 Bhavams which are traditionally said. Now which Bhavam do you think Bharati fits in? Which of these Bhavams do you think Bharati fits in? Yes? Prema. Okay. Kannan and Kadalan, Kannan and Kadali. Then Kannan and Sevakan. That is a real reverse twist that he has given. Then the speciality of Bharati's bhakti is this. He has gone across all these bhavams and added a little more to himself. Every one of these bhavams, we have got songs of Bharati. Let's just have a quick look for Shanta Bhavam. I would like to take examples from Kannan Patu. Of course, he has written about it to every god, but let's focus on Kannan Patu. Shanta Bhavam. Now in Shanta Bhavam, you see Ninnai Charanadaiden Kannamma. Ninnai Charanadaiden. In which he says, Nalladu Thiyadu Namariyo Mannai, Nalladu Natuha, Theemayai Votuha. So I don't know I know not what is good or what is bad. It's for you, Kannamma, my mother, to inculcate the good and eradicate the bad. Simple. Then we come to Dashya Bhavam. This is where I would like to discuss with you. Normally we say Kannan, the first Kannan Patu that comes to our mind is Kannan and Sevakan. Of course, there is a Kannan in Andan. You just have a very beautiful version. The translations are mine. So bear with me if they are not really up to your mark. This Dashya Bhavam, just have a flavor of this in Kannan and Andan. Desirous I come, my Lord, of hearing the praise, that among the farming labor clans, he has risen high in status, for now he is Krishna's willing slave. I come desirous of this, my Lord. The person, Bharatiyar says, he's coming just to be known as Krishna's willing slave, Kannan and Andan. Then, of course, Sakhya Bhavam, the first of Kannan's songs, is Kannan and Thoran. Bharati has assumed that he's Parthan, Arjunan. Here I have to tell you something. Arjuna is a kind of a role model for Bharati. He has mentioned Arjuna everywhere, many places. Even in the simple song, Olipadaitha Kanninai, he is talking about Arjuna. He says, Vilayum Manbu Yavayum Parthan Pol, Vidile Vilakuvai Va Va Va. So to him, Parthan is like a role model for the Indian youth. So obviously, when he's talking about Sakhya Bhava, he will presume that he is Parthan and sing about it. And here, listen to this. Just enjoy this. Feel. As soon as I ask, he helps with money, bears my teasing with gallantry. In troubled times, he cheers me no end with music and dance to ease me in my mind. This is the good side of a friend who helps, supports. Then you have the other side, Idi Turaital. At the very sign of arrogance, he comes down heavily at once. A cunning word, even if I attempt. Just a second. Right there, he will show his contempt. With just a single word or the gesture, he can bring down my temper. A rift or a dispute, he will quickly solve to make us again happy. So this is what all the multiple roles of a friend he traverses in this single poem, Kannan and Thoran. Then we come to Madhurya Bhavam. Here, as you said, he has excelled himself. Madhurya Bhavam. Just imagine, you just have to close your eyes and listen to this. Payumoli nee enakku paarkum vizhi naan unakku. Thoyum madu nee enakku thumbiyadi naan unakku. Vayuraikka varuvadillai vaali nindran menmayellam. தூய சுடர் வானொலியே சூரிய அமுதே கண்ணம்மா. Just imagine, streaming light you are to me, the viewing eye I am to you. You are the honey of the flowers, and I the bee that hovers. Words are not enough to express your enduring greatness. Pure ray of skylight, sweetness that stole my heart, Kannamma. So it's just the inseparability of the lovers. And he himself translates this. This translation is, of course, mine, but he has translated it in which he says, Kannamma is Paramatma and I am the Jivatma. So, where do you say that there is no bhakti in Bharati? You just can't. These are bhavams. But then Bharati is not Bharati if he does not break a few boundaries. He is born here to just break a few boundaries and create new boundaries. He's done it in literature, he's done it in society, he's done it for everything. So here in his bhakti also, he broke the traditional boundaries. He added a few more bhavams in bhakti to his this thing. He expresses his love for Krishna in many more ways than this. The bhavas and the rasas are just too many. For example, even just take the Madhurya Bhavam, the Prema Premika. Either normally people associate themselves as a female and talk to God as a male, or vice versa. But Bharati has done both. Kannan and Kadalan, a whole series of songs. Kannan and Kannammai and Kadali, another series of songs. And each song talks about a different feeling as a lover. It's not just one. So each one talks about a different mood, a different tone, a different tenor, a different expression. Just imagine, it's the prankster in Theeratha Vilayattu Pillai as an adolescent love, adolescent prankster. Then the agony of separation in Tundir Puluvinai Pol. Then, the chiding of your friends in one poem. Again, offsetting that by release of rescue of Krishna in Tikku Theriyada Kaatil. Then the uncertainty of a lover in Kannan Mananile Kandu Thangame Thangam. Then there is this love which is tinged with guilt. Aase Muham Marandu Poche. In each of this song, there is a different feeling that's expressed. Then again, he goes over, switches his role to Kannan and Kadalan as a female lover. These are all as a female lover. But then he becomes a male, switches his role, and then goes. Now again, a whole series. Chuttum Vili Chudardan, describing his love of his heart. Who can forget those words? Chuttum Vili Chudardan, Kannamma, Surya Chandiraro. Vatta Kariya Vili, Kannamma, Vanathu Karumai Kollu. Then you have a playful lover in Malai Poludinile. Then gently bringing out the shyness out of his lady love. In Dilli Turukar Vazhakamadi, and one more poem. Then the frustration of a ditched lover in Tirtha Karayinile. Then the inseparability I discussed in Payamolini Yanakku. There's just no end to it. I suppose if he had lived a few more years, we would have had few more bhavams and few more rasams in bhakti. One bhavam, two relationships, and dozens of feelings. Is it possible without true bhakti in your heart? It's just possible. You can just, and again, as he said, let me come to Dasya Bhavam. We always talk about Dasya Bhavam, I become the servant of the God. But here, he declares God to be his servant. Bharati has a unique style. All his poems start very simple language, very innocuous beginning. And as it goes, then it matures and finally there'll be a twist. This is perfectly seen in his Kannan and Sevagan. The last lines read like this. On Kannan I prevailed. I made him mine. Kannanai naan aatkondeen. Usually we say Kannanai aatkondan, but he says Kannanai naan aatkondeen. Kankondeen. The two kankondeens have two different connotations. Him I envisioned. I got to see Kannan. And Kankondeen, the inner eye opened. Wisdom I earned. And Kannanai aatkolla karanamum ulade. He's just surprised that ultimately the twist, Kannanai aatkollan. It just let me just put all of them together. On Kannan I prevailed. I made him mine. Him I envisioned. Wisdom I earned. Me he has claimed for reasons I can't divine. He is not able to understand why Krishna made him his. And that is pure bhakti. And you know, the two lines where it says, Kannan enadagate adiyedutha naal mudalai, ennam vicharam eduvum avan poruppai. The day he entered my house, all my concerns, my worries, my fears, everything became his. What more do you want in Dasya Bhavam? Is that doesn't end there? He again goes to different roles. He talks about Krishna as a teacher and Krishna as a student. Krishna as a student is a very fun, very interesting poem in the sense the teacher is fed up, throws Krishna out and says, I have failed. And then comes back, and Krishna comes back and tells him, this is the lesson I wanted you to learn. The student who teaches the teacher, that's Krishna as a teacher. Krishna as a king, again, fed up of the king and his failure. And then towards the end, he says, just when it was needed, in a minute, in a second, he has changed the whole scene of things. Krishna as a king, Krishna as a husband, Krishna as a mother, Krishna as a father. I mean, there's just no end to the roles he's thought. And Krishna and Kuladevam, finally he ends up with Ninnai Charanadaindhen Kannamma. பொன்னை பொருளை உயர்வை விரும்பிடும் என்னை கவலைகள் தின்னத்தகாதென்று நின்னை சரணடைந்தேன் கண்ணம்மா. All this is just possible because of the pure bhakti. Does it mean that the bhakti of Bharati is only in poems? Was his bhakti limited to poems and just the emotional appeal? Definitely not. Surely not. He has translated Bhagavad Gita. So a man who could translate Bhagavad Gita definitely has to have the intellectual component of bhakti. You cannot do it without that. And he, as I was discussing earlier, brings out that the 4 reasons which Krishna says why people show bhakti towards him. The 4 reasons. I'll just repeat. This is my translation of Bharatiya's verses. Arjuna, among those who follow good karma, 4 types of people worship me with bhakti. Persons in trouble, persons who need certain things, people who need knowledge, and those who are enlightened. The last, those who worship me with bhakti and seek enlightenment are the choicest. This is what Bharatiya's translation of Krishna's words. There is a beautiful poem, Bhakti in Ale. It's a long poem. I'm not going to go into details. But in that poem, he traverses through all these 4 dimensions of bhakti. As usual, he begins very innocuously. Bhakti in Ale, Deiva Bhakti in Ale. In the Parinil Eididum Menmaigal Kelir. And it begins like this. Hear out the gains that arise from devotion, a true devotion to God. Obviously, the first level, our troubles will end, our actions will be successful. Then it goes to the next level. This is the first level, persons in trouble. Then the next level, it goes. There'll be clarity in thought, perfection in act, enhancement of knowledge, association with persons of courage. So the other benefits that come out of bhakti, the second one, those who need certain things. Then he progresses to deeper benefits. The certain things goes further. An intellectual search for truth. The mind is rid of turbulence, gains high in conviction. He further goes on like this and then says, the demons of carnal desires are sent running helter-skelter. The devils of darkness get stormed. Faith in falsity is removed and thrown. Goodness comes with the name of the Supreme. So then comes people who seek knowledge, people who seek a betterment. Then finally, he ends this beautiful poem with the words, know my mind and grant me what I need. This is the ultimate, that I don't have to tell you what it is. You know what I need, so you grant me this, the surrender. Bharati defined bhakti in his own words. He says, to him, bhakti is a complete trust, an unshakable trust. the trust that God will never let us down. In another place, he says, an unshakable belief that but for him, nothing in the universe will move. He is the source of everything. A trust that God will never harm us. Why? Because we have completely surrendered to him. This is bhakti, according to Bharati. And now, this is what he has explained in his magnum opus, Panchali Shabadam. Ultimate, Panchali Shabadam is the ultimate in everything, including his concept of bhakti. மணிவண்ணா வையகம் காத்திடுவாய் கண்ணா மணிவண்ணா என்றன் மனச்சுடரே சரண் ஹரி 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 என்றாள். It is all right. She starts. Vaiyagam Katidua, you the savior of the nation. Krishna, the savior of the universe. The guiding light inside me. To you I reach out. I seek refuge at your feet. Hari, she chanted. Hari, 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 Hari. It's all right when you're asking the one who saves the universe. But then the action starts when you say, Endran Manachudare, the Krishna inside me. And then Krishna sits up and listens. That is where the bhakti starts. The bhakti begins there and actually comes together when it is the God inside you. Then he says, Chennir kai kuvittal, aval seviya meniyai saarndu nindre, munniya harinamam, tannil mooulanar payan ulagarindidave, துண்ணிய துகிர்கூட்டம் கண்டு தொழும்ப துச்சாதனன் வீழ்ந்து விட்டான். Her hands raised in trusting surrender, draped around her figure slender, the power of chanting the name of Hari, there for all the world to see. Drowned by the flowing silken sea, exhausted Dushashan fell at her feet. Yes, Krishna sat up when she said, Endran Manachudare, the Krishna inside me, the guiding light inside me. And when she raised both her hands and made the ultimate surrender, then the flowing fabric, sea of fabric comes. You surrender, he will never let you down. This is to Bharati, the ultimate in bhakti. He said, the ultimate is that God will never let us down. Nambinor keduvadillai nangu marai teerpu. Those who believe, they never lose. This is a decree of the four Vedas. Bharati knew that bhakti is a way for mukti. This is a path to reach ultimate deliverance. Now, I come back to the question I started with. If bhakti is a way of mukti, then why Desha Bhakti? We should have just all gone to God and be done with it. Then why did he go to the nationalism part? That's where Bharati is Bharati. Bharati realized the power of bhakti. He has explained so much about bhakti. He realized that every Indian, this Sanatani, has bhakti inside him. He might have forgotten. It might have got covered in this oppressive foreign rule. Therefore, he might have forgotten, but it is there deep inside an Indian. And he said, the power of bhakti, he wanted to bring it out. And Bharati thought that just like bhakti to God, where unless you get rid of all the material desires, material bondages that tie us, you cannot rise up to the level of godliness. The same way, unless you get rid of poverty, famine, illiteracy, every bad thing that had surrounded us, we cannot rise as a nation. And unless we rise as a nation, we cannot rise in spirituality. You remember what he said? Vargani Amman song. இந்த வையத்து நாட்டிலெல்லாம் தாழ்வுற்று வறுமை மிஞ்சி விடுதலை தவறி கெட்டு பாழ்பட்டு நின்றதாபோர் பாரத தேசம் தன்னில். If the nation is in such a situation, how do we come out of it? Then he used this powerful tool called bhakti and said, let's get rid of all the bondages. Let's get rid of this oppressive rule and then rise as a nation. And unless you rise, you get your identity, you get your courage, you get your wisdom, you get your power, you get your knowledge, and you get your confidence. We cannot come up to our normal level. What he said was Vedic situation. And unless we come to that level, we cannot spiritually rise. So Bharati used bhakti of God, morphed it into bhakti for the country and raised this nation. And believe me, we all know how he changed the entire scenario of the Tamil speaking land across today's states. And that's how Bharati went. And then finally he said, Mukti. Then Bharati thought, let me come back to the song I began with. Mukti and Rorunilai Samaitai Angu. Murudine Munaru Munarvamaitai. பக்தி என்ற ஒரு நிலை வகுத்தாய் எங்கள் பரமா பரமா பரமா. He began. He defined mukti first and came to bhakti next. And for mukti, he gives a definition. Mukti என்ற ஒரு நிலை வகுத்தாய். Mukti, a state you designed to realize there the whole and the one. Devotion, a state for us you divined. O supreme, supreme, supreme. He didn't want to discuss, he didn't want to define bhakti because bhakti is all pervasive. So on this day, when we talk about Bharati's bhakti, there's so much we can discuss. The Sakama bhakti, Nishkama bhakti, and the different types of bhakti, so much to discuss. But ultimately, the message that I want to give here is that, as Bharati said, what I need, you know it best. You give it to me what I need. I will give my bhakti for the sake of bhakti. That's what he said. Devotion. Bhakti and Rorinile Vahita Yengal Parama, Parama, Parama. I will submit to the Supreme with my bhakti. And what comes out of this bhakti is for him to give and for what we discuss. So with that thought, that saying bhakti to Bharati was the core concept of everything, every poem he came. And I would like to say, let us do this bhakti for bhakti's sake. Bhakti for the sake of bhakti. And what comes out of it is for him to give and for us to enjoy. Ethanai kodi inbam vaitha engal Ireva. I would like to thank you for this ஒரு துளி இன்பம் உங்களுடன் பகிர முடிந்ததற்கு நன்றி. வாழிய செந்தமிழ், வாழ்க நற்றமிழர், வாழிய பாரத மணித்திரு நாடு. And I would like to think that this is a book which I have written, Firelets, Agni Kunju, a translation of select poems of Bharati. It's available on net. It is available in my site. It's available in publisher's website, Amazon, Flipkart, everywhere. It's available abroad also in Amazon.com. If you're interested, please go ahead with your support. We'll come back again and probably take out Bharati's Bhakti. So let's go ahead and in Bharati's way, do bhakti for the sake of bhakti. Jai Hind.